McAdenville. And welcome to the McAdenville Candidate Forum. I'm Steve DeAvery, Vice President of the Gaston Business Association, your regional chamber of commerce, and we're so honored to be asked to be a part of this, which might be one of the first candidate forums in quite some time. This is our third municipal one we've had this year. We had one last week in Mount Holly and in Gastonia just as a warm up, and then we're going to knock out the best one here in the middle, and then we'll go to Dallas and Belmont. I'm sure that'll be as fun, but there will not be beer or wine at either of them. Aware of, but definitely after. I'm here to be the moderator of this evening's program. The questions were submitted by citizens, by businesses, by companies. We've compiled those. We have not shared other than the themes of what's going to be asked tonight and how the format is going to work in a minute. We're going to each have each candidate introduce themselves for up to 2 minutes. When 15 seconds comes up, our CEO, Pat Mumford, who is familiar to these forums, will put that yellow paper up. If no one's paying attention, then I think Wilson and Megan also will be some background here. And when time is up, he will put the red stop. We'll have them just kind of wrap up their thoughts. We're not going to pull the mic necessarily on them right away, but to be respectful, we want to move through the questions because we do have a lot of questions. When we get there, they're going to have 60 seconds to respond. At this point, we're going to let everybody respond to the same question. If it starts to feel like it's the same thing, we may move on to the next question after 3, but we'll just play it by ear then. We're going to do this in about an hour. Give folks 60 seconds to have closing comments or any rebuttals, and then we'll wrap up by enjoying the river room and each other's company. So we appreciate them hosting, and we are going to get things started with our formal introductions. So we'll just start right to my left, Mr. Fred McBee.
Boy, it's nothing like being first out of the barrel. I tell you, my wife's 79, she's back there. We've lived in McAdenville for 8 years. Most of you know who I am. I'm Fred McBee. We live at 140 Church Street up here, across from the church. I tried to write a campaign speech and I struggled all day long because I realized I'm not a politician. And when I realized that I wasn't, I said, Fred, be the person that everybody in McAdenville knows who you are. Yeah, I'm that person who has always been a servant leader. McAdenville's very fond of me. When I was a little boy, my dad brought me here many times, and those of you who are old school know the Far Yarn Reds. I spent many summer evenings watching the Far Yarn Reds play softball. I spent quite a few 4th of Julys on the same ball field, eating barbecue, watching fireworks, and sliding down the big hill in the outfield on pasteboard boxes. And if you're Southern, you know what pasteboard is. So McAdenville has fond memories for me. You know, someone asked me, said, Fred, why are you running for what you're running for? And here's my answer. My mom and my dad instilled in me from a young age. They said, Fred, always remember that there's something bigger than you, and you serve it. They instilled in me service and serving other people's and putting people ahead of you and putting their needs ahead of you. And that's why I served my country for 4 years, and I'm very proud of that. I've served my church in many different positions, in finance and in personnel, and I served it in the deacons. And that's why I want to serve the people of McAdenville. That's me. That's who Fred is. He's not a politician. Fred's a servant.
I want to echo what Fred said. Thank you to GBA for this opportunity. It's exciting. I wondered how we would fit everybody in the room, and we made it work, right? First of all, I want to start out introducing myself. My name is Carrie Bailey. My husband and I have lived in McAdenville for 16 years, 16 wonderful years. Been married for 36 years, have 2 grown daughters and 4 perfect grandchildren. We're active members of a local church, and I've also served on the McAdenville Town Council and in different capacities for 12 years. Something I thought about, like Fred said, when I reflected on who was going to be in the room, And we all are from so many different walks of life, but there's one thing we all have in common. Everybody in this room right now loves McAdenville, or you wouldn't be here. You care. And I think that's why I've continued to serve in this capacity. If you've ever served in any type of public office or community role, it can be a thankless job, but it's also very rewarding when you love what you do. And I do truly love what I do. Fred was talking about some of his memories, and as a lifelong resident of Gaston County, I can remember very vividly as a young girl on Christmas Eve, Mom and Dad putting us in our pajamas, popping popcorn, putting it in a brown paper bag, loading up the wood grain sided station wagon, putting a Gene Autry cassette tape in the player and riding through McAdenville. Then we did that with our children. And Christmas Eve just wasn't the same without riding through McAdenville to watch the lights. That's tradition, and I want that tradition to continue with my grandchildren. That's something I'm very passionate about, is protecting the traditions that we have here in McAdenville and building on new ones. So thank you all for coming, thank you for caring, and I'm gonna pass it to Jay.
Well, good evening, everybody. Thanks, Reed. You kind of stole the show there. And by the way, Reed went over 2 minutes. Just I noticed that. But 35 years ago, I got to experience my first ever European Christmas market. And I don't know if any of you guys have ever experienced it, but I'll never forget it. You go in and you smell the scents of the glühwein and all the scents of Christmas, the snow falling, beautiful. I mean, just the city all lit up. It was absolutely wonderful. And when I came back home, having grown up in Gastonia, when I came back, I was like, man, I really want to live somewhere where I can recapture that all the time. And I thought, where can I? I'm like, duh, McAdenville. So anyway, we moved back here to capture that. As many of you guys probably felt the same way. I mean, Christmastown does attract so many of us here. But as we know, Christmastown is much more than, McAdenville rather, it's much more than just Christmastown. I mean, let's face it, our Halloween's not bad. And if there's any newcomers in here, y'all better be ready. It's on Friday night. But we have so much more to offer now. We've got this amazing trail. We're getting ready to have a thread trail that's going to connect 3 and 4 communities when it's finished. Even the river room here in 115 Craft, it's been great. It's a thriving community. And there's so many friends that are gathered here now, and a lot of these people here, most of them are our friends. So it's great. But when I first was elected, I joined, and I was kind of forced to join, what's called the Central Iowa Regional Council. And that council basically is a council of elected officials from 9 counties surrounding Mecklenburg. And what we do is we collaborate to regionalize to make all the communities much better. And I was first elected and there to represent McAdenville, but then it grew. Now I was elected to be the chairman of the board of it, so not only do I represent McAdenville, but I also represent McAdenville and Central Iowa on a state and federal level. And I've had the opportunity to advocate to a lot of federal congressmen and some senators about McAdenville. And I've always asked for money from them, every time. So I've learned over the years that to build a strong community, you need strong connections within and outside. And it has been such my honor, and it is my honor to represent all you guys. Thank you.
Well, there's a lot of you here tonight. That is exciting. I know a lot of you were anxious about coming, but the Cubs don't play until 9, so we'll be out of here by then, I promise.
Go Phils.
Well, my name is Susan Elkins. I live on Academy Street. My husband and I moved here in 2014, and I would say it's one of the best decisions that we've ever made. I joined the McAdenville Women's Club in 2015, and over the last 10 years, I've been president, I've been community assistance chair, and the last several years I've been treasurer. And we've been involved in a lot of great projects here at the city, and we've also met a lot of needs in the city. It's been a privilege to be part of that. I'm also on the McAdenville Historical Society, which has been great. I mean, people love McAdenville. I love McAdenville. People move here, raise their families here, leave, come back. move to other towns to keep an eye on us. I mean, I want to be part of keeping that spirit of McAdenville protected. I work for the city of Charlotte. I've been there for the last 26 years. And that's quite a lot of my career. But I believe in local government. There are a lot of flashy, big ticket items that you see in the national news, but local government is trash, it's police, it's water. And that's what I want to be a part of for the future of McAdenville. So I would appreciate your vote on November the 4th, and would love the opportunity to serve as your next council member.
Good evening, everyone. For those of you who do not know, I'm Abigail McCown, and I've been proud to call McAdenville home since 2019. I live here with my husband, my daughter Auburn, who's 16, and Harper, who's 13. And I don't know, you'll see me running through town, rain or shine, with Laura Arnold. Over the years, I've come to truly love McAdenville. It's where my girls have grown up, and it is home in every sense of the word. I decided to run for town council because I believe in McAdenville, and I want to be a part of guiding it into the future in a thoughtful and collaborative way. Before this season of life, I owned and operated a small business for 20 years. That experience taught me a lot about responsibility, budgeting, and making decisions that balance today's needs with tomorrow's goals. Now, as a parent of 2 teenagers, I have also learned the importance of listening, communicating clearly, and finding common ground. These skills with patience, transparency, accountability are exactly what I hope to bring to the council. I'm committed to being available, approachable, and someone that you can come to with questions, ideas, concerns, because I believe that we thrive when we work together. Whatever is going on, whether it's the major projects that are currently underway, that hard work has already been put in on them, or any neighborhood concerns. I want you to feel confident that your voice matters and your input is important. Another key focus for me is manageable growth. We have a beautiful legacy in this town, but as we continue to grow, we have to do so in a way that protects what makes this place special. That means supporting local businesses, and so they thrive year-round in this community while maintaining our small town feel and planning smartly for the future. Our legacy doesn't hold us back, it lights the path ahead. Again, I'm Abigail McCown, and I would appreciate your vote in November, or early.
Hello, I'm Greg Richardson. I've lived in McAdenville with my family for about 20 years. Was it 20 years? Yeah, almost 20 years. I've been on council for 11 years. It's hard to believe. I work as council for a media company. I've been there for over 20 years. And even before I got on council, I was already pretty involved in the community. I led an ABC referendum that legalized alcohol in 2012, and was part of the planning committee for the inaugural Christmas Town 5K, and I think you probably remember that. And so then when I got on council, I drafted a grant application for a greenway, and we ended up building a greenway here with a lot of help from FAR, tremendous help from FAR. And also, we had a sewer project at the time. I know that's not a sexy topic, but when there was a funding shortfall, and because bids came in too high, and I worked with our state senator to find additional monies to plug that gap, and it went forward, and we decommissioned 2 wastewater plants in town, including one that's up on used to be on Lakeview Drive behind some of the houses, and so yeah, I've had a lot of involvement in the town over the years, and I still have a few more things I'd like to do, and enjoyed working with council this last term. Excited about the Riverlink project. It's well underway, fully funded. Of course, all the water infrastructure projects. There's just a lot going on, and I'd like to have your vote and be part of it.
Thank you all for the introductions. From now on, feel free to just stay seated and be comfortable, we'll be casual with this. I'm gonna start my first question with Fred, and then the next question will go to Carrie and go around. So we'll do our best there. I'm happy to repeat the question. I'm not gonna repeat it 6 times unless you really need that, but just ask for it and I'll repeat it without the microphone, and we'll just keep passing it and going along. Each question, we have up to 60 seconds. No one will fret if you go less than 60 seconds. You don't have to use it all. The first question, how do you define the role of the town council in serving the to contribute effectively? How you define the role of the town council and your strengths to contribute effectively?
I think the town council, again, should be a group of men and women who serve the town with the very best that they know how. That they instill in others that their concerns are greater than our concerns. And that's my feel of how we instill the confidence in the people of the town, by serving them and putting their needs before ours, and realizing that it's a bigger job as a council person than any of us individually.
I think when you say the term public servant, I think the emphasis is on servant. You truly put yourself aside when you're serving in a community like this. And sometimes you have to swallow your pride a little bit. And what you think is right may not necessarily be what's right for the town. I think what we have right now with the current council is a collaboration of people from a lot of different walks of life that have reached a common ground that we can discuss, and sometimes they can prove their point and change your mind really quick because they have good points. So I think you have to listen and just be able to put yourself aside and serve the community.
So it's a 2-part question, right? It was one, what I think a town council is, right? So serving on town council is, we're back. So the town councilman is kind of, I echo what they say, it goes beyond the meeting that's once a month. Not for everyone, but it should. There are meetings outside of that, and again, it's doing what you need to do in order to serve the town in the best way, using your talents. And also, if you find an area that you lack in, well, you need to improve your skills to do the best you can do. And I know that's what I've always tried to do with going back to school to get my MBA in finance and accounting. It's because not only I've owned a business, a successful small business for 20 years, and so it's not only that to improve there, but to do the best I could with the financial planning and the books from McAdenville as well. So using those skills is key, and continuing to learn and continuing to serve and do whatever you can to do the best job you can for the citizens, because ultimately, obviously, that's what this is about. We work for you guys, and we want to do what you guys find important, and so that's what we try to do. I feel like that's what I feel like it is. Thanks.
This is where it gets to people start answering the same. So, I mean, town council works for the constituents, and then Leslie works for town council, and really she has the harder job. But we are, to listen to the needs, we're to balance a budget, we're to make sure that that the residents have basic city services. I mean, that's the role of the town council, and if we can find ways to improve it, that we definitely want to do that as well.
A ditto. Putting yourself aside is key in this situation, and I think what, this is an opportunity for me to brag a little bit. I can bring a fresh set of eyes to this. I'm new to McAdenville in North Carolina, and I think a fresh set of eyes and a new way to look at things is great. Again, and I'll say it again, I work for the constituents, and I want you to be heard and your voices to be heard.
I think role of the council, we can divide it between must some nice to haves. And among the must haves, of course, is the basic services, water, sewer, trash pickup, police, fire. And, you know, McAdenville does a great job with that, I think. And then there's the nice to haves, like the Greenway. You know, a nice downtown to be able to walk to. You know, I think the council can definitely play a role to help make things like that happen. And I think it's always good to just listen to people, also be willing to, or able to change your mind with new data. Not be too dogmatic sometimes, and yeah, that's it.
Thank you. This one is to Carrie. We are going to ask everyone to answer this question, and we'll see how the next ones go. But what do you see as the top issue facing McAdenville today, and how would you work with others to address it? The biggest issue facing McAdenville today.
Okay. I think we probably can all agree, something that we've worked on for years, is the infrastructure. We talk about the aging, water system and infrastructure from the Milltown. We see that all the time, and Leslie has worked diligently to address those issues. I don't know if any of y'all remember, there for a while, it's been a few years ago, when we were experiencing sinkholes. And we realized it was because the infrastructure was just completely degrading. It was very eye-opening to us as a council that we needed to address this. And so that's something that we have been hyper-focused on, is the infrastructure, which, by addressing that, also will encourage growth, which would be very excited about.
Well, kind of ditto. It is, I feel like this subject of having to work, and the infrastructure in particular is the water and sewer lines, that we've been trying to work, I feel like it's been 10 years trying to get this thing done. We're trying to merge with Two Rivers Utilities to get out of the water business, and so we've been trying to do this for years. Right now, in the water general fund, it's not the general fund, but the business, but that, there's like $1.1 million in there, and you go, wow, that's so much. However, one line that we've got to put from Main Street to Mockingbird, which will go, I mean, not to Mockingbird, but down to the end of Elm, down Main Street, it's gonna cost $4 million. So 1.1 doesn't go very far. So one little break in that system and it all falls apart. So we're trying to get it patched together just well enough that it's good enough that we can hurry up and have Two Rivers take it over, and then it's their problem. So, but yeah, so that's probably the biggest thing we've been working on, and I feel like we're getting ready. We're almost at the 11th hour, and hopefully we'll come across the finish line here in the next year or so.
Shocking infrastructure. But also, you know, not just with the water and sewer, but, you know, roads, sidewalks. I mean, I do think we have some infrastructure issues, and I look forward to figuring out how we can work on some of those. I'm gonna be honest, I don't know all the answers to that question right now, but I do think that that's important.
I agree. Infrastructure, they are on, like Jay said, on the 11th hour of some of this. I also think our Main Street can thrive. And we have this amazing cooperative partner with the Carstar Fins and FAR. And I think as you guys have worked really hard at getting this infrastructure stuff, I think for me, looking forward, I wanna see McAdenville thrive outside of the 26 days a year.
Of course, I agree with all of that. What I would add to that is, I think another challenge facing McAdenville is over-reliance on one particular industrial taxpayer. And what would happen to our budget if something were to happen to that one taxpayer? And so I think, especially if something were to happen before there's an offset. And what I mean by offset is we need a large investment in downtown, the area cleared off by the dam over there. You know, it would be just as an example, we need major investment to offset any potential loss of a major taxpayer.
While I was out campaigning, the question that I got asked the most is, what is our town going to do about the businesses downtown? So for me, I think that our downtown, it's very vital that we get the businesses in our downtown area that meets the needs of the town of McAdenville. And I mean businesses that draw not only the neighbors down there, but it draws people from outside of McAdenville. You know, most people now leave McAdenville to go to other towns to eat and to shop. We need those businesses down there that draw our people to the downtown, because there's something about seeing your neighbors downtown, enjoy in town, because McAdenville is a place of community. It was a place that was built by people that joined together, and that's what a thriving downtown would do for McAdenville.
Thank you. This is gonna be the last question I'm gonna ask the six of you, and then we're gonna mix it up and maybe just have two at a time. Growth and preservation. How does the town balance growth and preservation? In your view, what is the best approach right now? Building new single-family homes, improving existing housing, or expanding multifamily options, and why?
Thanks. Well, luckily, we have something called a UDO that kind of sets forth what that means. And basically that's our zoning blanket. It tells us what we need to do with regards to that. The other thing is, we can set, as a council, we do set things like that. However, we're not the landowner. And as they've seen in Belmont, some of their infrastructure for roads and stuff, especially heading down to Reflection Point, can't really handle the capacity of what these builders are doing. However, the builders can build what they want, it's their land. So we have that same issue. Now, what we can do to make sure that growth is where we work very close and far. They tell us their ideas, and most of the time they're fantastic, as you know. It's a great collaboration. However, what we can do to help that along is to make sure that, yet again, we're gonna go back to what we can affect, and that's the infrastructure, to make sure that the infrastructure and underlying infrastructure there is for those houses to be built, those apartment complexes, whatever, that can handle the capacity, not just for now, for this building project, but to move forward with that.
What was all of that question?
How should the town balance growth and preservation? In your view, what is the best approach right now and why?
So I know the planning board, because my husband was on it when they worked on the UDO, outlines how that growth can take place. But I do think single family housing right now is probably the best approach. But if we have any questions about it, we do have the UDO that we can go back and look at, and that guides us on the decisions that we need to make.
I agree, again. I think single-family homes are a great opportunity, and we talked about preservation, and I've spoken about the legacy of McAdenville and how important that is to maintain the feel of it here. However, our operating budget is what our operating budget is what our operating budget. So if we don't choose to expand, our property taxes are going up to support the infrastructure, to support the sidewalks, to support. So there's gonna have to be a balance, and that's, you know, I don't know all the ins and outs, but I hope to explore that.
I think there would need to be a mix. I think everybody would prefer a single family, nothing but. Average home at the village generates about $750 a year in taxes, or maybe it's up to $850, $900 a year for the town. And that uses up a lot of land to generate that amount of income. So there is having a mix of single family with some multifamily would enable us to maximize more tax value. That the town would probably need, I don't know if a whole town full of nothing but single family would generate enough tax revenue to keep McAdenville sustainable as an independent municipality if something were to happen to a major taxpayer.
I'm absolutely in favor of single-family homes. I know there is proposed building plans in the future. I know that there's proposed townhomes. I don't know much more about what else has been proposed, but I'm a big fan of single-family homes, and I think we look at any other alternative we need to meet that tax burden.
I could say ditto to everybody, because I think we covered it all, but I think one thing that we've seen is the intelligence that Belmont Land and FAR has brought to the table is that they know how to read a room, and they understand the needs and what is working. Some of the things that I would love to see, personally, 55 and up housing, patio homes, that type thing, that would, serve senior community that I'm in. But also, I agree with Greg. I think single-family homes are intriguing and it looks great, but for the tax base and to increase the tax base that we need to maintain the infrastructure, like Abigail was saying, we need that money for sidewalks and things. So, yeah.
So instead of doing ditto, I'm just gonna ask this question to Susan and Abigail, they're gonna answer it. And then when I get to someone else, if they're like, hey, I got 60 seconds, I wanna answer that as well, then you've got 60 seconds, it's not the end all. So, just wanna go to Susan and Abigail. How do you view the current health and future of McAdenville's Main Street and downtown area? What steps would you support to help strengthen it?
So my 16-year-old works at the candy store. It has had several iterations with 2 scoops, and we've had Knowledge Park, and we've had things come and go. What I envision for the future, was that the question? I got ahead of myself. What I envision for the future, and I'll say it again, is something that's sustainable outside of the 26 days a year when we have 500,000 people coming in through town. Again, we have to work with the Carstar Friends and the FAR Corporation to get that done, and I thus far have trusted that they want what's best for McAdenville as well. I see it thriving. I want to have breakfast in McAdenville. I would love to buy groceries in McAdenville. I went to a Gastonia meeting last week, and we go to everything in Gastonia. I would like, this is an ideal world here. I would like to do it all here in town.
I definitely would love to have a thriving downtown as well. I think it's important, though, that we have businesses that don't rely on the support of the town. I mean, we have to have businesses that people want to come to here. We can't, as this community, keep them all afloat. We have to have exciting, but I would love whatever help FAR would like to try and encourage businesses to come here. I'm all for that. That's wrong, okay. Yeah, yes, but the key is we have to have businesses here that don't rely on us.
That's our two, but someone can jump right in, so you can get 15 seconds when I ask the next question, then you can do whatever you want with that. So, yeah, you can do what you want with it, but I'm gonna ask this one for Greg and Fred next, and it's about managing community input. How you engage residents from different areas and backgrounds to ensure everyone's voice is heard. If you want 15 seconds to talk about downtown, that's fine, but this is about community input. We're downtown.
Well, real quick on downtown, I think anything that can be done to increase foot traffic, whether it's people who live here or visiting. But as far as engaging community input, we have automated systems that we use to reach out to people. We have our Facebook page. We have meetings they can come to. They can always contact staff. They can, we certainly did opportunities arise. We've done surveys before in the past, like with Survey Monkey and whatnot. So we're always happy to get input.
as far as community input, nothing beats one-on-one communication. Nothing beats making yourself available to the people of the town. And absolutely nothing beats the people of McAdenville seeing you out and in the community. So they know that they can approach you. They know that they can talk to you. And if they have a question, or that they know they can ask it. As far as the businesses goes, I read something that said small town business is vital to small town success. And we need those businesses that meets the needs of our citizens.
Questions for Carrie and Jay. How do you describe your approach to budgeting and financial decision-making for the town?
My role right now, I've worked at Belmont Abbey College for the last 9 years, and I serve as finance officer for the athletic department. So managing budgets and controlling budgets is part of my everyday. It's a little different though when you're working with a town, because you're working with the taxpayers' dollars. And so making wise choices affects everyone. I will tell you that whenever the budget workshops come along and we all sit for hours on end back and forth about the tax rate. Because if that tax rate changes, it affects all of us sitting around that table. So we take it to heart. So just know that when the council does approve and process the budget, then it's affecting all of us, and we do take it very personally.
So yeah, so the budget and financial things. So we do have budgeting workshops that we do every year to try to figure out what new projects we may want to take on. Our budget this year is $1.3 million. That's the total budget for the town of everything that we've come up with. Right now, in our general fund that is unencumbered, which means it's not, we could spend it however we want, is 1.7 million. So the last few years, we have worked really hard to be fiscally responsible with the money, the tax money that does come in. And just so you know, like when you see the tax rate and you go, well, yeah, you went up 1 cent or 2 cents. That, that affects me a lot. So as far as the town, 1 cent on the tax rate only brings in about $17,000 to $18,000. Not a lot of time. There's not a lot that we could do with $17,000 to $18,000. So you got to remember that. So that's that tax rate. The 1 cent. That's all it does because we're such a small community. Whereas some of these like Belmont have huge ones. But that's what we do. We look at the balance sheet. We look at the income statements and the budget versus actuals to make sure that things are lining up and ask questions on every line. And that's what we try to do.
Now we're really gonna make things confusing. This is gonna go to Fred and Susan. Okay, mix it up here, okay. If the town received $1 million grant to use in any way, what would you recommend spending if it was not for infrastructure? I threw that in there, and I was like, yeah, that's easy. Come on, do something fun, $1 million.
Well, I'm gonna stay on my soapbox because I think it's that vital to our downtown is our businesses. I think that money can be invested there to hopefully draw more businesses here. And I agree, they must be sustainable businesses. They have to be able to make it 12 months out of the year. And they need to meet our needs.
$1 million.
Our trails and parks infrastructure, because that's what I would like to see, improvement to those trails. Even some park area, I would love to have more amenities outdoors for our residents.
Anybody else want the $1 million question? I'll give y'all the $1 million question. Go ahead, Greg, you guys come on, $1 million.
I had $1 million, I don't know if $1 million would be enough. But one project that, and I haven't really pushed it too hard because we've got so many projects going on right now. But one dream project that I would love to do someday is the sidewalk around the pond on Wesley. That sidewalk, to me, is so dangerous. That you're basically walking there, and you're between traffic and a garden on a turn.
At night.
At night sometimes. And we've already seen that guardrail hit before it had to be replaced. We've seen tire marks on the sidewalk plenty of times, and this sidewalk's a little bit flush with the road. So I would love to have a project where we could address that and put the guardrail closer to the road and maybe do a concrete boardwalk permatrack type thing behind it. So that's just the dream.
We call that the Laura Arnold Memorial Walkway because we run it every day, and I agree with you. It's dangerous. If you've walked it at Christmas time, it's scary. So I concur.
Maybe not well. Even though that's kind of infrastructure, but it's incredibly important. And that was the one I was thinking as I was passing it down in the Greg stall, because it's something that we wanted to put a boardwalk behind it, something to get. And we talked about it for years and years and years. Yeah, we've had pictures, we've had studies done. You know, that would be the number one thing. We'd also love to put, again, this kind of infrastructure and sidewalks, but some sidewalks for Mockingbird as well.
Oh,
But,
yes.
so anyway, we're dreaming though, right? So we've got plenty of money with this. It'd take more than $1 million to do that, but hey. We done?
Okay. This one's going at, I think, Carrie and Abigail. Does that sound somewhat right? Okay. Traffic's a frequent topic of discussion. What do you see as the biggest traffic concerns, and what practical steps could be helped to improve them?
Well, we talked about the sidewalks. I know as long as I've lived here, Wesleyan has been a racetrack. If you come down the hill, if anybody tries to get out of the roundabout in the morning, I feel like I'm Talladega, Alabama. People come and see how fast they go to that roundabout. So I think any type of speed control mechanisms that can be implemented would be amazing. If people would even slow down for a speed bump, I'm not sure. So yeah, I think as far as the traffic, and I will say this, with our collaboration that we now have with Gaston County the Police Department, the resources that we now have available to us are immeasurable. We have so many resources through them that I think we will see a difference in the traffic safety that we will now see.
So as we become a bedroom community to Charlotte, traffic is exhausting for all of us. Like Carrie said, the Gaston County Sheriff's Department has been fantastic. And in the last board meeting, they sort of talked about doing some sort of flashing, slowing impediments from the school. Do speed bumps stop? I would like to see what studies and dig into that a little bit. I know we've done traffic studies in the past. That's something to explore on Wesleyan for sure.
Go to Jay and Greg on this one. Working with other municipalities, where have there been benefits and where are there opportunities to work with other municipalities in Gaston County?
Wow, there's a ton of opportunities. At Central Iowa, that's what we do. So we have, working with other municipalities, I think it's so important for us to get to know our friends over in Cramerton that serve as well. There's joint ventures, we have one right now with the Riverlink Trail, which I know Greg's gonna wanna mention, but that was in collaboration with them with some CMAQ funds that came in, which are grant funds for that type of project. So there's multiple projects that we can use. Gastonia, yet again, with the two rivers. That's another project that is one of those. It's vitally important to have these connections with other municipalities because we can help each other. They can promote us, we can promote them. They have resources that we may not be able to have, such as some personnel. We've had Cramerton help out before when we had a personnel shortage on some things in the office, and they had an expert that did it. We were able to do it. We do that at Central Iowa too, but Central Iowa charges, Cramerton doesn't. So anyway, so that's always that's a great thing. So yeah, I'll leave some of the stuff for Greg.
Now, I think when McAdenville's not just a small town, it's a micro town. And when you have such little scale, you really don't have a choice but to engage in intermunicipal agreements. You can get way more quality and coverage, for example, with police, by contracting with the county as opposed to doing it in-house. And we used to do it in-house, and, 2 officers covering the whole town. If they one goes on vacation, you have to sleep at some point. So you go periods of time without coverage. We don't want people, they didn't want people to know that, but there were times where there was no police coverage. So I think, and likewise with the fire department, I mean, it's one fire truck costs millions. So you have to do it, with agreements with other towns.
Okay, I'm gonna give this question to everybody. Has anyone not gone first? You guys go first? Greg, have you gone first? You have? Okay, you're going first. Okay, that's fine. If you could change one thing for the residents for the Christmas Town experience, not for anyone else outside, and we are not recording this to go on the GBA page here tomorrow, what would you do?
$20 helicopter.
Where's the attorney?
That's a really good question. I think there's some more checkpoints we can certainly put in place. I think we spend currently $35,000 a year as a town on Christmas Town for police and fire people to watch the checkpoints. But that's a huge challenge. Honestly, without building a new road, I don't know how to answer that. But yeah, we could add more checkpoints to try to control people, perhaps the people that are coming in the late afternoon and clogging up Lakeview. We could do something with that if that's an issue. I haven't heard a lot of complaints yet, but it kind of bothers me a little bit.
So when I moved here, our realtor said, there's a Christmas thing. And my husband was working in Shelby, and he said, it's gonna take me 3 hours to get there in December. He was there in December. So for me, this traffic thing, I've often wondered, does monetizing Christmas Town take away its charm? As we've seen in the last couple of years, people have really moved over to the Food Lion, and they do a lot of walking. What would I change? I spend time picking up trash. I love the town and the charm that it has. I would like to minimize the traffic through there, so I'm an advocate of people parking at Food Lion and walking in more than driving through town.
Trash cans. Lots of trash cans. Daily pickup, twice pickup of the hot chocolate cups, trash cans.
Short and sweet, I love it. Well, I was thinking of something like a lot more fun than some of those. Not that they're possible, but we're dreaming, right? So, again, I mentioned the European Christmas market. I would love it if we had this is not being recorded, right? A Residence Day where nobody else gets to enjoy it except for us, and we help each other finishing touches on lights. We also have some vendors down to have a beautiful Christmas market in the downtown somewhere, where we have those stalls like they have all over Europe that are just so magical. And maybe we get some bubble blowers like they do at Disney, so it looks like it's snowing. But I think it would be great we all work so hard on our houses every year, and it would be great to celebrate together. Like there's sometimes where I'm so busy dealing with my house that I can't see everyone else's houses and get around, and there's some amazing displays that I really want to see. And it'd be nice to be able to just come out and you know that it's neighbors you're talking to, and we all have that shared experience. So anyway, I know it's a pipe dream and a fun thing, but anyway, that's what I was thinking other than serious traffic. But yes to the trash cans.
I agree with the traffic, the trash cans, porta-johns, all those things. But when people walk through, and we usually are sitting on our porch during the month of December, and some of the first questions people ask is, how do you get in and out of the neighborhood? Do you just hate it? Do you just hate the traffic? Do you hate all this? And our instant answer is no, because if you live here, you gotta love it, or you wouldn't stay. And by December 26th, are we ready to cut the lights out? Yes. We ready for everybody to go home? Yes. But you have to admit, it's kind of magical when you sit out there and you meet people from all over that have flown in, drove in, took a train ride in to visit our little micro town. So honestly, I don't think I'd change a whole lot. Trash, yes.
The only thing that I would change would be more checkpoints. This area right here by Rainbow Bridge is terrible because it doesn't take them very long to learn. If I get there before 5:30, I can fill that neighborhood up. And if I fill that neighborhood up, then I can drive my car through that neighborhood after they lock it down. And it becomes a hazard, especially on the nights that we have a big crowd. So that would be the only thing that I would change. As far as slowing down the amount of cars that drive through, absolutely not. McAdenville is about tradition, and tradition is those cars coming down Westland and going up Main Street, looking at those Christmas lights. And all of us that are in here have done it for years and years. And if you're a lifelong resident of McAdenville, you want it to stay the same.
So the final question, there's probably 4 or 5 categories we missed. So you get to pick out of the 4 or 5 categories for your 1 minute, and then you'll have closing comments. They include things on changes in zoning ordinances, golf carts that are not street legal, community events and what the town should sponsor or support, and social media discussing town issues or engaging with residents. So pick any of those.
Say that one more time.
Zoning, golf carts, community events, and/or social media. Whatever you want to just.
I tell you, I'm a big fan of golf carts in our community. Actually, my friend has been taking me around to campaign on his. So I think that we should have an ordinance in place that if our carts are street legal, because of the size of our town, we should have golf carts in our town. I think they're slower than cars, and that creates less of a hazard to the pedestrians.
I think I'll address the social media only because a few years ago, we had the opportunity through the University of North Carolina School of Government to take a class on social media and town government. And it was explicitly instructed to town officials that if you are serving in an elected capacity, that you should never use social media to engage with the public. Because so many things can be lost in translation. If something needs to be discussed, our cell phone numbers, our email addresses, everything is on our website, even our home addresses. And so that's just something that we felt strongly about, was that was probably not the forum to discuss things. And like some of us have said, we have council meeting once a month that has open public comment that you can address the entire council for questions to be answered.
Okay, can you read those again?
Zoning changes, golf carts, community events, social media.
Okay, all right. Well, I'll pick another one. I'll do community events. I'm a huge fan of community events. We had the McAdenville Day here a couple of years ago. I'd love to see that come back. It's such a great, I live on Academy over there, and I have out my window, I can come and I can see the field down here. And so it excites me so much when I look down and see people preparing for one of these, events to come down, and I can hear the music, and so it's really, really great. And some of those, when we get the Riverlink Trail done, and I'd love to have more festivals and these planning events around our greenway. I think that would be great to even have some fun races or things like that. We've got such a great opportunity to show off. We got so many great fields and great places around town to show off. I mean, even our downtown with this place, we get it opened back up as, a drinking hole. And then with 115 Craft and that sitting fun area between it, I mean, downtown is starting to become such a great place. Of course, we always want to see it get better, but yeah, so more community events, I'd be all for it, I think it'd be wonderful.
I'm gonna go back to the social media. I know it's not appropriate for elected officials, but there's nothing to say that the town can't have a social media account. I mean, we're a generation that doesn't necessarily seek information, we want it coming to us. And so if there's a Facebook page that's giving you alerts that things have been updated, there's things going on, I think that would be wonderful. We have the garbage changeover, and so there's a lot of scuttlebutt on the neighborhood page, and you're not getting answers from the town council members, and so people are making up their own, what's going on here, and I just think it would be helpful if we got more information like that from the town, and it doesn't have to be from us. I mean, I don't think that's part of being elected, and whether, don't get elected, so I think we should.
I want to talk about zoning. I sort of mentioned single-family homes, and I kind of want to revisit that. I believe that the town of McAdenville falls under this 1,000-person threshold for specific grants and participation in legislation. And I think bringing some multi-unit housing and single-family as well would really contribute to McAdenville's longevity. So.
At this point, I'm not sure what I could add. All the topics have been covered. I like the idea of community events. The only, I guess, one challenge is bandwidth of staff. Planning events is extremely time consuming. But if we could partner with, a women's club or whoever that can provide some, personnel to help, I mean, I think that would be fun to be able to start, doing more events. I do think that community day went really well a couple of years ago, and wouldn't mind making that a tradition, like with the river keeper or whatnot. So,
Greg, you can keep the microphone, because this is a time for closing comments. So you all have 60 seconds for any type of rebuttal from the discussion or anything else you'd like to wrap up, and we'll just go from your side towards.
yeah. Well, I want to thank everybody for coming tonight. I really do think we might have had a better turnout than Gastonia's, right? About to say, it's pretty. I mean, this is really impressive for a small town like ours, micro town. But yeah, I hope that for those of you who don't know me, you can ask anyone that's been here for a while that I've been very involved in the community for years, for at least 10 years, very active, and I think the number one qualification for a council member is you have to really care a lot about the town. Everything comes after that, and I do, and I think my work that I put in over the years proves it.
Thank you, Greg, and I would attest to that. You and I have had several conversations. You've done an excellent job. Thank you for coming. This is amazing. It's exciting for us to sort of have this thing. I am new to the area and I'm new to city government, but I believe, like Greg said, that if you love this community, and I love the people in it, that's what it takes to do a good job. So I'm asking for you to come out in November to vote for me.
As I mentioned earlier, I work for the city of Charlotte, and they are also holding municipal elections in November, the same as us. And most of those decisions were made in September because they're just in the primaries and those decisions are already made. They don't run for office because they don't feel like they can win. So you've got 6 people up here who want these 3 positions. So you can't lose with who you pick as long as you come out and vote in November.
Well said, Susan. Well, again, I'll do the ditto. Thank you guys for all coming out. This is so great to see everybody. I've seen some people I haven't seen in a while, and it's just great to see Kevin back there. I haven't seen him in a while. With your help, I'd like to continue working to help maintain our traditions, but also prepare for the future, because we've got so much ahead of us, right? But thank you guys for coming. Please help me to continue to fight and strive and advocate for McAdenville on all levels, national level, state level, to make this city what we all want it to be, and to be nationally known for not just Christmas Town, but to be a great, great place to live. Because it is, and I love it. And makes me any more qualified, but just so you know, I know some of you's been out there, I know I saw Kelly Jones over there, who's been here longer than me. She was the first in the neighborhood to build a house, her and James, so they were the original ones. But anyway, thank you guys so much.
Thank you, and when we finish up, y'all don't leave, because when do we get everybody together in one building? We just hang out. Yeah, so I would just like to say something we've said a lot tonight. We talked about tradition. There's so many traditions that are synonymous with McAdenville. Of course, Christmas lights, we've got the Yule Log Parade, now we have the Christmas Town 5K. And so I just think the one thing that has remained steadfast through the years is that love and tradition. And I've taken it very seriously in my years serving on the council to help maintain those traditions and maintain the nostalgia that has made McAdenville what it is. So thank you. Thank you for allowing me to serve you the years that I have as well.
Here's my one and only campaign promise. If I'm elected, I can promise you one thing, and I can absolutely hold true to this one, that I will work as hard as I can possibly work to keep McAdenville the town that McAdenville is. Its traditions. I'm overwhelmed by the support in here tonight. It would be an amazing honor to serve our great town. My greatest honor in life is I get to be Cindy McBee's husband, but it would be an honor to serve the town and the people of McAdenville. Because without the people of McAdenville, there is no town. We gotta have the people. I heard this one quote, and I'm running out of time, and it said this: if everything stays the same, then nothing ever changes. This year, the people of McAdenville get to choose who they want to represent them. Go and vote. And like Susan said, you can't vote wrong.
I was going to say, just join me in a round of applause, but thank you all for serving. Thank you for committing. I know you all are not doing this for the paycheck. You're really doing this for the community. Just a couple notes about that. Early voting begins next Thursday. There's one early voting place in Gaston County. That's at the Board of Elections on West Franklin in Gastonia. Election day, I believe, is November the 4th. And if you have questions about how appointments are going to be made and top 3 and all that, I'm sure other people know that. But I'm honored to be here and look forward to many more of these. And we'll ask Belmont to just have it here at the River Room, because this is the best site for it. So thank you guys so much. Be safe. Have a great day.